Okay,
You're alive.
we're alive. Well, I think I'm alive 40 and something years, but that's okay. Uh, Hi, everybody. This is first Moksha Coffee in 2025. And this time, actually today, we will talk about rejection. So let me introduce ourselves for the new people. I'm Rosna Milosic. I'm a yoga teacher, RTT hypnotherapist, and magic practitioner. And you are?
I'm Zoran Milisic, and I'm a kinesiologist.
For more than 25 years.
Just about.
And so today we will talk about rejection. And Zoran, how often do you find rejection as a root cause in your kinesiology practice?
Well, rejection is actually a very common thing because it is part of the 6 core wounds of the humanity. And rejection often shows up in number of physical or non-physical symptoms. So it is very common indeed.
Sorry, Zoran, I just need to handle something here.
You need to just...
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. One day I will be really good in this, but I just need some time.
So yeah, rejection can present itself in a number of ways, physical or non-physical ways. When we talk about the physical aspect, oftentimes people have issues with funny feelings in the body, particularly in the chest and stomach area. And also lack of self-confidence, shyness, things like that. So it is very interesting to note that rejection, even though it's an emotional feeling, it actually triggers the same pain areas in the brain as physical pain.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of times, particularly in today's world, where even the science is admitting that more than 95% of issues are psychosomatic. Okay? In other words, symptoms of the disease are not related to the physical body, but something outside the physical body. So that's why we call it psychosomatic. So it's psyche is our content of our head. Because the rejection triggers all these pain receptors and pain areas in the brain, a lot of people feel the physicality of it quite deeply.
Can it cause some serious disease later, in some later stages? Like, for example, if you carry that hard feeling like all your life, and you're not doing anything to heal that feeling.
Yes.
So can it like go in some serious disease?
Yes, well, it's kind of like a chain reaction. You see, it pulls you into the spin of negativity, and as you feel rejected in many areas of your life, you're sinking deeper into self-rejection, because on the other side of rejection is total acceptance, you know. So we have to accept ourselves the way we are. You know, that's probably the hardest.
Just that.
Just that. It is one of the hardest steps. It's easy to say, but it actually involves many aspects of your life, living your truth. So once when we embrace that, the rejection can actually become an amazing stepping stone for the healing process and self-discovery. It can lead in many different issues. For example, if it's strongly on a physical plane because of these brain receptors, so we kind of are having like a phantom pain, you know. We're getting the feeling of the pain, but physically the pain is not there. So then people revert to you know, medical science, you know, which is allopathic approach, and they try to deal with the issue with different you know, pharmaceutical drugs. But the issue is not pharmaceutical. The issue is not chemical. Therefore, people then discover that those methods they use, they may not be appropriate, or they lead into another set of tablets, you know, because the previous one may create contraindications, different symptoms for which they get another set of them, and so on and so on. Okay, so it can lead into many ways, but the point here is that when the pain of rejection becomes unbearable, it will pin a person to the point of total surrender. Okay, so in that moment when you totally surrender, then the greatest healing happens.
Yeah, but you need to be pressed so hardly
Yes.
in order to surrender, right? And
yes, and that's the point of working on yourself. You know, it's a very common thing in today's world. You know, everybody's suggesting to work on themselves, or saying that, you know, I am working on myself, and so on and so on. Okay, there are so many descriptions of that, but the point of that is, in my opinion, and in my view, is that you don't need to wait for something to develop physically. You can actually find the traces in it, or of it, in your mind first, and then start to work on it in different therapies. Like, for example, I always say kinesiology, in my regard, is one of the best. But also there are other techniques and methods which one can use to overcome the pain of rejection.
is it powerful actually to use awareness?
Awareness
In
is
that-
yes, awareness is the key. I always say that the healer actually is awareness. So the moment you become aware of the trauma or situation that triggered a sense of rejection, then the healing starts to happen. So the energy of that whole experience can then be dissipated and returned back into your meridian system to feed your life. Because you see, if for example we experience a strong rejection of some form, we will have some emotional reaction to it. Even though the event may be totally neutral, our emotional response will determine whether it's trauma or not. Okay, and the body has to deal with it, so it needs to store the energy of this whole thing into your meridian system. Okay, so with kinesiology, we do discover the energy outages and which meridians in particularly took the control or compensation for it, which actually creates a social survival pattern.
So from my experience, I know that actually kinesiology also gives a lot of awareness on the session. And but there is one question that came to my mind. So when there is something from outside world, which I can say, like, for example, we can call it trauma, okay? That actually is stored on two places, right? So one place is our body, and the second place is our brain. Is this correct?
Yes, it is correct, but it's probably more accurate to say that the trauma is stored on the three lower bodies. Okay, that
Okay.
is emotional, mental, and physical.
Okay. Okay.
So if you're talking about the physical body and how is it affected by rejection, the most common place is kidney and adrenal meridians. So it's
Okay.
it's kidney and adrenal glands. Then stomach and large intestine. Okay, and then heart and liver. Okay, so there would be the most common cases where the energy of rejection is stored. But as per individual processing, that may not be the case always. That's why we use the power of muscle testing to find the outage for every person.
Okay. Thank you. And so what is, it just came to my mind also that what is also significant there caused by the rejection is actually, help me to say that word, perfectionism.
Yeah, perfectionism.
Yeah,
Yes,
perfectionism.
yes.
Yeah, that's also something because you are never good enough, and
Yes.
actually then you are postponing
Yes.
everything in your life. That's also very serious.
Perfectionism is a serious issue because we are seeking unconsciously or subconsciously, we are seeking a unification with universal consciousness, which is perfect. Okay, God, let's say God is perfect. Okay.
Yeah, but from my side, I would be accepted if I'm perfect.
Yes, but the thing is, the fact that you are here on your planet, here, you have already been accepted by God. So there's nothing to do. There's nothing more to achieve. So once when you overcome the attitude of perfectionism, you will then accept everything about yourself, because if you are suffering from perfectionism, it's a standard which you are applying to yourself. So you can't start anything in your life unless it's perfect, right? You can't be satisfied with anything or anybody unless he or she or it is perfect. Okay. So by applying that standard, people won't be able to satisfy you or live up to your expectations. So they will walk out on you, right? So they will say, okay, I don't want to be with this person because I can't satisfy this person. So then we may feel abandoned or lonely, or deserted and things like that. So it is a really a strict position, and also what's stemming out of that is worrying about things that we perceive that are not right, or investing ourselves into things which cause limitation or some sort of loss, because if we are trying to make everything perfect, then we will definitely focus on millions of things which are not important. Everything is important in life, absolutely, but not that important.
Yes, and also one aspect of that is when we are chasing more like schools, for example. Oh, I need to finish this course, this training, and so I had that phase in my life. So I was chasing. I thought, oh, I will do this, but I need one more training. I need one more training for this and that. So it's also one of the signs of that.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Can one struggles on from that feeling without being aware of that?
Yes. For example, an attempt to be accepted by others. A lot of people are concerned about what other people say about them, and they become, I would say, slaves to them. They give this wonderful, immense power, human being or humanity, to other human minds or egos, So we become dependent on other people's opinions, and we cannot progress in our life because we're always waiting for others to validate ourselves, And this is where we're missing the point. So once when we realize that we are actually reporting to the stars, you guys, you are reporting to the universe. You're not reporting to your boss, to a system, to politician, to this, that, and the other. Okay, or some group or somebody who we put as a person of the power. Okay, So we are all equal and same. So once we realize that I'm the star meta, I'm reporting to the stars. The investment of my life energy into an attempt to be accepted by others will cease, and that energy, that very energy is the energy that actually runs my system, my cells, my organs, and all that will be returned back to me. So then, this is where a new chapter of life can emerge, where we step into our own truth and become a powerful human beings. I say become, we are already powerful, but we don't know that.
Yeah, so that's actually the way to reveal our authenticity, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Being authentic, being unique, existence is unique, and existence creates uniqueness, So you can't repeat anything that existence creates, right? So I'm embracing that uniqueness and authenticity is way towards self-confidence, self-acceptance, and self-love.
But Zoran, I think that actually the first feeling of rejection usually actually comes from our early childhood.
Yes, correct.
And also when we are like teenagers, we are diving deeper into that because we want to be accepted, we want to be the same, we want to be the part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And later, actually, we are usually coming to that stage that we want to be authentic, right? But
Yes.
like when we are 12, 13, 14, 17, usually we don't want to be authentic, we want to be accepted. And the way to be accepted is to be same.
Yes, look, I mean, rare people, rare humans started accepting themselves from the early times, and you will recognize them as great sportsmen or artists or
Yeah.
people who endured immense suffering but never gave up, because to live your truth, besides what people say about you, or society or whatever, requires enormous courage, because truth is always confronting, and people are afraid from that truth. So oftentimes people who are living their truth, they are basically left alone. People run away from them. So later on in life, after they achieve whatever they achieve, when they disappear, when they're gone from this planet, everybody grieves for them.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in many musicians, artists, and all that, they're always portrayed as villains, or in many negative ways, but eventually when they die, when people are left with their whole life work, people start truly regretting that they are left, so that is the sign that you experience living next to a great person.
Yes, but usually that great person actually didn't maybe experience great life because people would reject that
Yes,
person.
but
then they
the
don't
most important
care
is
too much about that,
yes,
right?
they
That's
accepted themselves. They accepted
Yeah.
themselves. They got to the point where they don't really care what other people think about them, and
Can you call that freedom?
it is a freedom in a way.
It's actually real freedom,
Yes,
right?
it's real freedom. And you see the state of the world, for example, rejection is the very feeling which actually separates humans from humans. In today's world, where we have raging wars and calamities and poverty and a total disproportionate distribution of resources of this planet, which belong to all of us equally, right? it is where we build the walls and armies to protect us against each other. You know, the rejection is actually at the root cause of that.
Yeah.
So overcoming rejection and shifting into universal love is basically the end of all divisions in this world, you know. So I always say, imagine the world without borders. You know, if you ever travel by plane and you look through the window, you're looking at Earth, and you see no borders. Isn't it amazing? Okay, so the borders are only handwritten on some sort of maps, but you know, nature doesn't know any borders. There are no borders for animals or plants or anyone except for the humans, you know. So we are the ones who are living in so-called free world, but we can't move without having a passport, you know, without an authority authenticating us or giving us a piece of paper which says that I can pass through such and such border, which is quite amazing. So we're not really living in free world. We're living in a delusion, which is called free world, you know. So we just came to believe it is free, but it is not. You know, the real freedom is within all of us, and it is in acceptance and in self-love.
Do you think, Zoran, that if, for example, if I feel rejected,
Yes.
and it was really my topic through the life, that I was working a lot on that topic. Do you think that when we feel that way, that we are also rejecting, that we are reflecting that emotion to others as well?
Yes.
Unconsciously,
Yes.
because sometimes we don't want to hurt anybody or something, but do we do that
Yeah.
unconsciously?
Yeah, look, I mean, depends how you process that rejection, you know. And I always say it is as per individual way, but every negative aspect of your life can actually become a beaming light for others, you know, depending how you project it into the world. In my own case, for example, my mom wanted to abort me, right? So I was rejected before I was even born to this world, you know. And that memory was deep seated into my whole energy system, and I spent years and years working on it as an adult and trying to understand uh, why I felt this way or that way. Okay, but and I noticed that, you know, there was a pattern where I was trying to please everyone and so on, but at least that sense of rejection created an amazing healer. That was my path, you know. So it depends how you're going to project. If you work with it with awareness, it can absolutely transform into a higher purpose, you know.
If I can say, in my case, so I faced my first time probably in early childhood, probably when I was a baby, because I was a girl born in Montenegro, and they usually they prefer to have boys, not girls. So from early childhood, I had that fight actually for myself, and you know, it was a really fight. And I remember, I don't remember that, but it came to me in one hypnotherapy. I was a baby, like maybe a few months old, under the tree in Montenegro in my village. And there were some elderly people sitting around, and they were pitying me because I'm female, you know. So, and actually it came to my to that session, and I could remember, I could hear what they were talking. I could hear the words. So just be aware that we are aware from before our birth, right? Even
That's
when we
right.
are in our mother's womb.
Yeah.
So
There was it is an awful experiment, but there was an experiment done it doesn't matter who did it, right? Some group of people made an experiment with orphaned kids. That was, I think, back in the 50s or 60s. They had two groups of kids without parents. They're totally orphaned. And one group, they were feeding and touching at the same time. Okay. Whereas the other group, they were providing exactly the same food, same care, everything, but minus human touch. There was no touch
Yes.
involved, right? And they were in the same room, everything's same, right? And guess what happened? All babies without the human touch died. That's how
Yeah.
rejection is powerful, you know. So it is a feeling of a really low frequency, and it is in a realm of, I would say, shame, guilt, and fear. Okay, so it is resonating that low in that terms.
And why do people often try to hide or ignore the pain of rejection instead of facing it? And I can say that actually what I was doing through my life when I was young, in, for example, early 20s, I built my world, you know. If you looked towards me from outside, you would say, oh, she's so strong, she's so powerful, she's so this and that. And actually, I wasn't inside. It was just the mask, you
You
know.
were crumbling. Yes, I experienced many situations like that in life where I had to put up a brave face, but I was crumbling inside.
But
You
for
know?
me, it was years, actually,
Yes.
years and years,
Yeah, it
until I
can.
started actually working on all that
Yeah.
topics.
So why are we hiding this?
Yeah, why
It's social survival, you see, because rejection is total, acceptance is also total. You know, you can't just accept one aspect of yourself, and acceptance has to be total. But when the world rejects us, oftentimes we also reject ourselves. You know,
Yes, and it's
and
actually
we do that through negative self-talk, through lack of self-validation, through lack of self-esteem, through lack of self-confidence, which then basically cuts us off from even trying to do something in our life, because we defeat ourselves even before trying, you know. So that creates a huge stress and pain from all past, previous, and future rejections, you know. So then we end up with blocked throat chakra most of the time, because our communication is blocked and we can't communicate our truth, so that for the fear of how people are going to react.
Yes, but the issue, Zoran, is because, for example, when you start your life, you face with that feeling rejected. If you
Yes.
feel rejected at that early stage, then you will continue to confirm that feeling through your life. So, for example, when you are 30 years old, you will be already overwhelmed with that feeling, because actually all your life will give you the same rejection patterns, right?
But as you said, it's a pattern. That's why it's happening. So when the pattern settles in, right? Most of the time, it's when we are little kiddies. Like, for example, in my case, it was in uterus. You know, it was prenatal stuff. So it was more ingrained into my energy system and cellular memory. You know, so consciously, I couldn't grasp it. You know, I had no access to it. But funny thing is, I recall the memory of it. You know, I could see everything outside. So it's a different topic altogether. But it is because it's a pattern. So what happens is we develop strategies to deal with it, right? And as our consciousness grows and develops, we become more aware and grown up and all that, that program or pattern adjusts itself as per our age or as per our circumstances. So basically, a 30-year-old person is maybe running exactly the same program, except that it's expressed as a 30-year-old circumstances. It could be something to do with the job, with the career, with relationships, whatever, right? Same as he was like a 2-year-old boy, a 3-year-old boy, exactly the same. So the pattern is the same. The circumstances change and our awareness, so we then adjust our survival pattern and mechanism as per the current experience. That's why things are running in repetitive mode. Yeah. So when, for example, working with the clients, in my case, somebody presents with a particular issue in the body, right? You can cut it straight through and actually find the pattern from the early childhood, which is quite amazing. So once we resolve the energy at that level, you resolve all other points in the past and the future. And then the person is free and can move into a quality healing process.
Zoran, one more question regarding to that. So when that happened, for example, on kinesiology session, what's going on with the brain and pictures in the brain?
The pictures in the brain are pictures in the brain. Okay, so I always say,
can they brought you back to the pattern, or
it depends how traumatic experience is, and depends how your internal intelligence decides to deal with it. For example, oftentimes after a deep kinesiology session, people fall asleep. So because the trauma that's been released was actually on such a deep level that the person and conscious processing is actually a hindrance. So the system puts the person asleep, right? So that the energy can shift. So it really depends how it is processed as per individual person. But I always say that none of us dreamt their life. I've went through many situations in life, and I do have memory. But we need to shift in the real healing process. We need to shift from looking at the situation and recalling it in our memory, and not producing any emotion towards it. So if we are looking at the situation, something, let's say, bad happened to us, and we are recalling it in our mind, whether as a picture or film, movie, if we start producing emotions towards it, that means an aspect of it hasn't been healed as yet, right? Because the body is reacting in present time for something that happened long time ago.
So is the way to heal that to actually face that emotion, to process that,
Yes.
and then move forward? Yeah.
Because oftentimes it's not only one pattern, it could be patterns layered on top of each other, so that the body uses it as an auxiliary pattern for survival. So if one pattern is not available, it'll actually impose another pattern. It's almost like an autopilot in a plane. You hit the button for autopilot, and the plane flies itself because it has all these sensors and everything, right? And the pilot can have a cup of coffee. So same goes.
Moksha Coffee.
Moksha Coffee. So same goes in that process where you become aware that you reacted in certain way. So that is basically a moment when you realize that a pattern or some other mechanism took over control because it doesn't trust you that you can handle your life. So many times due to feeling of rejection, we said yes, but we meant no, or we said no, but we meant yes. And then in that process, the inner child, which was really at the bottom here, loses an ability and trust in us that we can handle life. And that's why the pattern then takes over.
Well, nice explanation. Is it possible, Zoran, to completely heal the feeling of rejection?
Yes, it is possible. And as I said just earlier, if you recall the situation and you don't produce any emotions, that is a most likely sign that you overcame the issue and healed from it, But you have to be really careful because the mind is the one that actually controls all the emotional content. You have to be careful that letting go doesn't become lack of love, right? That letting go doesn't become indifference, okay? Because it's much easier to become numb and rigid or unfeeling so that we survive, but still rigid and numb and unfeeling and indifference or lack of love is still an emotion.
Yes.
Right? So we need to be very careful because mind is very quick. We need to always observe and go through the experience all the way.
So mind is actually just protective. Mind just try to protect us, but it's not so smart,
yes,
right?
correct. And I'm saying this if you're trying or attempting to do things by yourself, because ultimately I believe that we humans, we don't need any modality. Right? In the state of consciousness, which is an absolute reality, we don't need any of these tools, right? But you need to reach that state, and you will reach that state by shedding all the garbage and life suitcases and things, concepts that were posed upon us, And there's a area of your brain which is called a Wernicke's command area, which is here behind your left ear. And this area of the brain is responsible for converting you into I. So somebody tells you that you are stupid when you're a little boy or girl, and that area of the brain will convert you into I. So that when the person leaves, could be your teacher or parent or whoever, when they disappear out of our life, when we start living our life, we will be saying, I am stupid instead of you are stupid, because that is the way how things work.
How we can actually reverse that again?
Yes, that can be reprogrammed. It can be reset with awareness, understanding, and also finding the energy blockages. Because for something to be completely released, you need to find where the energy of that is stored in the body, and then remove the blockages with kinesiology corrections. And then once when the energy flow is established properly, then the situation is healed, so it is released from the memory.
Yes, but there is also one more way to release this
Yes.
heavy feeling.
Yes.
DNA activation workshops.
Yes, DNA activation workshops is something that I developed as a result of many years of working with clients and my experience and researching different topics and studies in the human consciousness and health. And these workshops are dealing with the six core wounds of the humanity, which actually sit at the bottom of all our issues and problems. So one of them is rejection.
Okay. And can you just quickly just explain or help us understand how that workshop will help? So I know how that workshop looks like. That's why I'm asking if you can just please, explain about
rejection, like another core wound of the humanity, is actually programmed in your DNA, in your codons of the DNA. And this is basically where the system is drawing the energy from and implying these patterns. And all that is actually played out, 99% of that is played out in your relationships world. Okay, whether you have relationship, which is personal, intimate, family, friends, career, job, etc., or even relationship with yourself, you will be affected, and it is affecting those three lower bodies, mental, emotional, and physical body. So in these workshops, I teach people how to trigger specific energy points, which release the energy of particular wound, so that we become more aware and we become free of that heavy burden that we carry in our life. So we step into freedom.
So what is your opinion? Like, can one workshop or one session like clean all the feeling of rejection? Yeah, because I'm asking this because, and it's hard for me to explain that in English, but I'm trying to ask, how many times do you need to repeat session about rejection? So because I know from my experience, it's not possible because we are not ready to release everything from our system at one point.
Yes.
So it's always, I believe, there are always layers, right?
Yes. Well, look, it's a philosophical question. See, if I tell you, for example, that my sole purpose and aim is to lose all my clients, right? People will think that something's wrong with me, right? But having said that, to lose a client is actually bring him at the gate of self-knowing, right? And at that point, once when you realize that you are the pure light, then you don't need anything else, right? So you will reach the aim. It is that's why we call this center moksha. Moksha in Sanskrit means liberation. So being liberated completely means being healed in true terms, right? So a lot of modalities, which are valid modalities, I'm not saying anything against them, are dealing with the ego concepts. A healing is used to bring a person back to the point, and the reference point for that is the past. I want to look young, or I want to look strong, I want to look pretty, I want to have features like I had 20 years ago, and so on, right? That is not the point of healing. The point of healing is in total and absolute acceptance of self, and that is the light in you. Okay, so it is a philosophical question. So I must give you the ultimate answer to it, right? But there are layers of it, or layers of understanding and need for each person. Somebody wants to get rid of migraine or headache or pain in the shoulder or backache or many different things, right? But ultimately, why we have all this is because there's an aspect of me which is not aligned with the truth in me, right? So the bigger the gap, the bigger the pain.
Okay. Thank you.
So yes, it is possible to heal it, absolutely. But I needed this rejection workshop when I was in uterus,
Yeah.
so I would then deal with it then and there, but my life happened, and through a lot of trials and errors, we learn through our life. Sometimes we are not given the eyes to see because we sign some sort of contract with the universe to go through the experience, right? Because without the experience, we can't convert the trauma into an event and then into the wisdom, right? So that's the point. So when we gain the wisdom, we are truly aligned with ourselves.
And the speed of going through that process is individual, right?
Well, speed is individual, but universe doesn't recognize the speed or time.
Okay.
Universe only recognizes the wisdom, because as for the universe, time is just one dimension which is created by energy, right? So universe is timeless. Okay, so you have plenty of time. You have eons and eons of lives. You know, you can you can do nothing about it and be born so many times, but eventually you're gonna have to go through this process. And I always say, the sooner the better. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's uh, step towards the inner light, and let's make that as a prime focus of our life, you know. Otherwise, we have eons of time available
To heal.
to heal. Exactly. Because this appearance, most likely, I don't know, we don't have this memory. There are many reasons why, but yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. This appearance is probably the result of thousands and thousands of previous appearances, right? So yes, we've all been around too many times, and we've all been played out the same movie and same thing over and over again, and we believed in it. You know, that's the biggest tragedy of the mankind, that we over and over again we are basically believing the same illusion and delusion, you know, and
same pattern,
and same pattern, everything
same
over
emotion.
over and over again. You know, we need to snap out of it, right, and basically step into the light, basically.
Zoran, do you have any practical advice how we can start that journey?
Well, there's really
How we can
yeah.
connect it to rejection?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's really powerful kinesiology method or technique, and it can release huge amounts of energy, right? And it's so easy to do it. It's called ESR technique, or emotional stress relief technique, which is basically a simple holding points. You know, so it's frontal occipital holding. So we place one hand on the forehead, another hand on the back of our head. Very simple, right?
Okay.
And people immediately ask, "Oh, is it left or right hand?" Doesn't matter, right?
Okay.
You can do like this or like that. It doesn't matter, as long as you cover your forehead and the back of your head, right? Which is called occiput, frontal occipital holding, right? So you close your eyes and you bring the situation when you felt rejected, right? And visualize the situation in pictures, or like an old videotape movie, and start playing that movie in front of your eyes without getting involved. So just observe like you're watching on TV or in a cinema. Just observe everything. And then once when the movie runs to the end, rewind it back at the beginning and run it again and again and again. And you will very quickly notice that the intensity of the experience is actually lessening, and that the mind is starting to give you different ideas about now. For example, it will tell you, "Oh, I feel hungry. I could go and eat something." You know, so you will see that the mind will actually shift the focus from that situation. So, and once when you do this several times, and or every time when you feel the intensity of that situation, it could be anything. You will actually see that the energy of that trauma is being released, and you feel much more powerful and stable. You will stabilize in that state. It could be even if you have an exam or something that happens in the future, job interview.
How do you mean in the future?
In the future.
So if we are stressed about something in the future, we can do that. Oh,
yes,
really?
correct. Yes. So because you can imagine that, for example, let's say you have a job interview.
Okay.
Right? So you don't know who's going to be there, but you assume who's going to be there. If, let's say, for example, they'll tell you it'll be such and such person there, right? And you haven't met the person, right? But you will have an idea how that person may look according to the name, which comes really from the pattern from the past, Okay. So visualize all that, visualize yourself, visualize the room where you're in, the clothing you wear, everything, every single
How do you feel?
small detail, how you feel, and do this and run that film over and over again until you feel that the intensity of the experience is lessening, right? And then you will see when you come to the job interview that none of that will happen, you know, and that you will perform at your best.
For the end, one more question.
Yes.
Can we do that to our kids? Can we help them? Like, can we like talk to them and say, okay, now go through that, feel the colors, feel the emotions,
Yes.
go forward, then go back, then
Yes, correct. You can do that. Teach them do that themselves. It's a very powerful
But we
thing.
can do for them as well.
Yes,
We can do if they're smaller.
Yes, if they're small, you can do it for them. I also very often how I treated high fevers and temperatures and everything with kids, right? I would basically give my child a hug like this, right? And I would hold forehead like this and my forehead like that, okay? And then within 20 minutes or so, I noticed the temperature dropping and the kid becoming lively and all that, and that's basically the end of the disease, right?
So develop temperature
it is.
tonight. To be better.
So
This is joking.
You can do it every day.
No temperature.
So yeah, try that if you have little kids and you are afraid from whatever they're presenting, try to do that. Also, don't feel rejected. Don't feel that society will reject you if you decide to use different methods for healing. You know, like I know homeopathy works like a miracle for kids, but a lot of people are afraid to do this because of the what if and things like that, you know. So try to do that. It's a very powerful thing, and then it will calm everybody down, and the immunity after that will stay for a long time.
Okay, thank you, Zoran.
You're welcome.
So, is there anything else that you would like to add at the end?
The only thing I would add is for everybody to start looking at themselves and looking particularly for this aspect of rejection because it is a topic in itself, and I know from my life and my life experience, it was an aspect of many sufferings in my life. So, as I always say, as our cells are functioning and they are healed, so we, as individuals ourselves, we can be cells of our society, you know, of our wider society and the mankind. So if we are healed, if we are in this stable position, then we can influence our society that way. We can influence this world by healing ourselves. So how do we heal the world? We heal the world by healing ourselves. So imagine the world without poverty, without conflicts, without calamities, without borders. You know, imagine the world where an exchange of energy is the currency for our existence. You know, living in a plentiful world where all resources are shared uh, evenly. You know, so nobody owns a particular thing of this planet. You know, who owns the energy? Who owns this planet or this universe? Who owns it? The human mind cannot own it. You know, this air, the water we drink, and air we breathe, and so on. So that's basically at the root of all that is the feeling of rejection, you know. So moving into self-confidence, self-acceptance, knowing yourself and being very powerful and stabilized in that position. So that is the real way,
That's perfect.
right?
Okay, so that's for today. Probably sometimes in the future we will go again and talk about this
Yes.
because,
Did we have any questions?
well, I didn't, I checked once, but you know, like I'm just, when I'm going to check, then I'm losing the flow and
So check. So we
let's
have
wait.
opportunity to answer some questions. If not, you guys are more than welcome to write to us. We are more than happy to cover any subject of your concern and maybe make the whole program about it.
Yeah, but I think there is no, well, because it's hard for me to find it. And that's why we will actually in the future ask for the questions in advance. So
Okay, so
yeah, so I can't
leave
find
your
them.
questions in the comments.
Yeah, any questions in the comments, and we can talk in the future as well about this topic, because this topic is really important and is really huge.
It is a huge topic. We probably barely scratched the surface of it. And yes, we may as well revisit it again.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. Bye
thank
bye.
you all. Bye. Slavice.